Hey there, I'm Todd on High, and today we're having a look at my favorite skill in the Division 2, the Assault Turret. There's a common idiom in chess that a knight on the rim is dim. This refers to the fact that while knights have a massive attack and move range, placing them on the edge of the board severely limits their potential, which is often a blunder your opponent can exploit. Similarly, bad turret placement in the Division 2 can bring you more grief than relief. This is Assault Turret 101 for the Division 2. Alright, seriously. Today I want to talk about how to effectively use the Assault Turret, ideally with my spiked skill build, but this information is also useful for new, leveling, and solo players who use the skill as a decoy. More specifically, as a decoy that shoots back. The Assault, aka Vanilla Turret, was relatively mediocre skill in Division 1, however in Division 2 it's much more imposing on the battlefield. While the variations of Sniper, Artillery, and Incinerator turrets do absolutely have utility in this game, I'm going to be focusing solely on the Assault Turret in this video and how to get the most out of it. Let's jump in. I love the Assault Turret with the spiked skill build because mixing one buff you proc with headshots, Spike, with two buffs you get from skill kills, tech support, and skilled, provides just the right mixture of active gameplay, of targeting enemies, scoring headshots, and tossing seekers, and passive gameplay of the constant turret damage output and its proccing of your talents. You don't have to babysit it, but you can if you want to push the build to its limits. One of the biggest benefits of the Assault Turret is your ability to place it in spots agents can't reach. Ideal placement means somewhere it won't immediately get killed, and somewhere it will be able to hit the enemy. Pretty simple, right? At the very least, you should avoid placing your turret on the ground or on the floor, unless you have a good reason. Moreover, it encourages you to experiment with the terrain to see where your turret can go, and where it will be most effective. The ability to actually throw the Assault Turret, overhand rather than underhand, gives you numerous options when it comes to placement. Its quick cooldown also lets you advance, change your mind, or just recover easily from an accidental or wasted placement. Placing a turret on tall structures or overhead terrain provides an angle of covering fire that the mobs must deal with. In this way, the turret can draw the enemy's attention and fire away from you and your teammates, even if only briefly, distracting them and exposing weak points. It's easy and often a reflex to place your turret next to you as you take cover, but there are definite benefits to not doing so. Thrown turrets can shoot from a flank, above the mobs, and around corners. With different placements, the turret can bait enemies or push them, alongside doing damage. Part of using the turret is multiplying your offensive output, not just by the amount of damage, but by having multiple sources or angles of attack. That being said, placing a turret next to you is fine if you plan to move, especially if it's on a half wall. Enemies can shoot it there, but heavies won't be able to climb up and stomp it to death. Whenever possible, place your turret in such a way that it has a wide field of view. The skill has an impressive range, but bad placement will limit its ability to target and hit enemies, especially when they're in cover. As you use it more, you'll notice and remember good spots for the turret, especially in certain missions and control points. Aggressive turret placement can function as crowd control, albeit briefly, because enemies fear the turret, and will often focus on it as soon as it begins firing at them. Enemies, particularly heavy enemies, are aware of turret placement and will often compromise their position to avoid a turret's line of sight. Turrets also chew through a heavy's armor plates quite well if given the opportunity. Despite this awareness though, a turret will often go unassailed by enemies, particularly heavies, when they're unable to kill it. As shown in the Federal Emergency Bunker sections of my spiked skill build, the Hammer brothers become somewhat confused by a turret when they can't curb stomp it. And especially at close range, the turret chomps through their armor like they're wearing purples. You can even get wildly creative with your turret placement on certain missions, like deploying it on the upper platform before you head into the building and down to the boss fight and bank headquarters. It won't last forever up there, but it's a great angle to cover the entire room. A turret placement the enemy can't reach, like the railing at the entrance of a certain room of Federal Emergency Bunker, is almost cheating. The assault turret works great with the spiked skill build, primarily because of its continuous damage output. Using 2 one-and-done skills would sometimes leave you with several seconds of both skills on cooldown. The short cooldown of the assault turret, on the other hand, means you'll rarely have to stall the enemy, waiting for it to come back up, and with your spike and tech support buffs up often, you'll be doing insane levels of damage with your Seekers. With one-and-dones like Sticky Bomb and Seeker, the explosion occurs and your chance to proc an ability ends, whether it was successful or not. Obviously, it would be best for this to proc your skilled and tech support talents, but that isn't reliable, especially for skilled, which only has a 25% chance per skill kill. The assault turret, on the other hand, has several chances over time due to its continuous damage output. The benefit is it doesn't leave you high and dry with both skills on cooldown. Rarely will you have to sit and wait or rely solely on your guns, especially if you're making sure to proc spike and letting your turret take down their last few HP. Calculated was my first choice for lowering skill cooldowns, but on higher difficulties, a skill build is not as likely to actually get kills with guns due to high enemy HP. It's by no means a useless talent, but shaving 10% off your cooldowns with each kill is not enough of a reward, whereas skilled can cancel out a 30 to 40 second cooldown entirely and repeatedly. Outside of legendary content, the continuous damage of the assault turret alongside its endless ammo, comparatively brief cooldown, and ability to control enemy behavior make it a solid choice. This last bit isn't unique to the assault turret, however. Whether by programming or reputation, the enemies have a deep hatred for the sniper and artillery turrets as well. Sadly, the incinerator turret has lost some teeth compared to its state in the original game. With the title update 9.1 buffs to the striker drone, it does a similar job, especially of pulling attention off of you. But even its mobility is not enough to make it stronger than a well-placed turret. It's better for an offensive playstyle where the turret is better for defensive. The assault turret and how it fits into the game has always been interesting to me, since it's such a helpful skill for solo play, especially while leveling. It's saved me more than once in hardcore mode where my revive hive often failed me. It may not be the highest damage or the sexiest skill, but it's my favorite skill in the Division 2. The behavior or attributes of the turret could always be adjusted in future patches, and I'll keep pushing the limits of what my little buddy can do. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoy this sort of content or want to hear more of my ASMR voice, please make sure to like and subscribe. Cheers.